Hi there, I'm Mart, and this is episode 8 of Silo, entitled HANNA. Warning, we've got some spoilers ahead, so please skip if you haven't watched it yet and watch one of our older videos. So episode 8 starts off in the past where Hannah, who is Juliet's mum, has a meeting with Mosley, and he's one of the farmers down in the cornfields. They hand over some illicit goods, which, believe it or not, is a rabbit in a little box. Jules says, "Are we going to eat this?" And her mum is like, "No, this is for a much more precious and important project." Fast forward to the present, Jules has just managed to evade capture from the guards, the raiders, and she hides in the nursery while Sims visits Gloria. Sims kind of cajoles and bullies Gloria into giving up what happened to Jules, and she says there was a bag there with a hard drive in it, and as a reward or a thank you, Sims basically says to the nurse, give her drugs from now on and leave her in like a hypnotic state or dream state. As part of a flashback, we see what Jules' mom was doing with this rabbit, and she got a various series of elements combining together to make like a makeshift microscope. Now, if you remember some of the earlier episodes, one of the things in the pact is that you are not allowed to make magnification devices, so this is a big no-no. Flash forward a bit, and then you've got the judiciary coming in, and they're smashing up the house looking for this thing, and in a very good scene, Jules' mum, Hannah, says, "Here it is, here." And she hands over a little this, looks like a little cup, then a lens, and she clicks it all together in a very, very good scene. And the investigating officer's like, "Yeah, that's pretty cool," and then smashes it all to bits. Jules' mom believes that her husband has grassed her up, and then that's also one of the reasons why Jules has been against her dad for such a long, long time. Coming back to the future, Jules is called by Billings and he says, "You've got to get back up here," and all of Sims' men are in the police headquarters, and they're just smashing everything up, ruffling through all the papers, going through all the filing cabinets, and they're looking for this hidden hard drive. Jules is obviously extremely angry with this, so she goes back to judiciary and says to Sims, "You're under arrest, you can't do this." And because Billings is like an expert at knowing the pact, he says, "You've broken this rule, that rule, the other." So they take Sims and they put him in the makeshift jail that they've got there. At this point, Jules knows that Sims is truly the guy who's sort of pulling the strings, and the mayor is just like a scapegoat or a face for everything, and she's like, "Right, I know what's going on here." So she actually goes back to Sims' office and starts going through, and she finds a file on her own mum, and that gives a bit of info going into her mum's earlier things going on with the magnifying glass and all the stuff. As part of this, Jules also realises that the surveillance cameras are hidden in the mirrors, and in a very, very touching scene with her dad, they have like a rekindling of their love, because she realises now that it wasn't her dad who told on them, it was actually the mirrors that are in everyone's homes. While she's there with her dad, there's a call from maintenance saying, "We're going to come in and we're going to come and fix some of the vents." And she's like, "There's nothing wrong with the vents." But then she realises, of course, that with all these cameras everywhere, they've seen her hiding things in vents, and she now knows that things are really turning bad. While Sims is behind bars, he's kind of using his very sort of wily tactics to get some of the younger constables, and says, "Oh, can I take your radio? Can I do this? Can I do that?" And he's showing that he's a very powerful man, and the more you see it, the more people are scared of him. There's an instance where he's having an argument with someone, and there's a family across the way over the stairwell, and he sort of shouts at them to go back inside their house, so they're very, very scared of him. Jules investigates this hard drive finally and finds it's got an encoding that she can't crack, so she tries to get it down to Martha, but there are security stops on every single set of stairs, so she can't get through. At one instance, she's at one of these and she is waiting and she's thinking, "What am I going to do?" And then Bernard turns up and he says, "What's going on here? We need to sort this out." And she sort of starts to confide in him what's going on. Early in the episode, we see Lucas and Jules having a chat, and Jules says to him, "I need your help. You're an IT guy. I need some help cracking this hard drive." And he's like, "I can't do that. It's utterly illegal." And so she smashes the mirror in the office and says to him, "Look, we're being watched." And he's like, "Oh my God." So he's totally shocked by what he's seen, but he's really scared because his mum is ill. He has to look after her, and he's worried about the repercussions on her. Going back to the meeting with Jules and Bernard, he says to her, "Let's go and talk somewhere private and we'll be okay." So they go back to the cornfields, which obviously were at the start of the episode, and she's there chatting to him, and she suddenly starts to open up a little bit. Then Bernard says, "Well, what about this hard drive?" and he's like, oh no, I've let on. And you realise that Bernard has known all along, and it's revealed at this point that Bernard is running everything, and Sims reports to him. Sims says, what's that? You want to go outside? And then Bernard says, yeah, I heard that as well. So they're sort of setting her up to try and send her outside. There's a bit of a run chase thing going on, but they capture Jules quite quickly and they take her back upstairs. As they're taking her upstairs, Billings has got his hand on her on restraints and he starts getting the shakes again. Jules takes a moment and she grabs the bag with the hard drive, runs, and basically just gets up on the edge of the railing and jumps off as the episode ends. Final verdict, this is an absolute banger of an episode. We're really bringing in some stuff in together here. We're seeing who's in charge of the silo, the corruption that's going on, the fear that everyone's got. We're seeing Jules get some allies with other people. We don't know what happened when she jumped off the edge of the stairway, so I'm assuming she's going to fall a couple of flights and then catch onto something. We see Jules' dad also, he's trying to do the right thing, but we're seeing him being oppressed by the thumb of the silo police. Absolutely fantastic episode. We all knew Tim Robbins was going to be a bad guy, didn't we? He's such a good actor and highly billed on the cast list. Apparently Apple TV have also greenlit a second series, so there's plenty coming on there. But again, an absolutely fantastic episode. Can't wait to see the next two. Guys, let me know in the comments whether you love this, whether you don't really like it that much, whether you're not having such a good time with it. Take care, see you soon.